The Queen's darkest secret: medieval horror. The shadows of history often conceal stories that official chronicles dare not record. Secrets that crowns and thrones have desperately tried to bury. In the heart of medieval Europe, when kings and queens ruled with absolute authority, every smile of a queen was seen as a symbol of purity, every step she took as a reflection of divine grace. Yet behind the velvet curtains, behind the glittering facade of royal power, lay truths so dangerous that they could shatter dynasties and tarnish legacies forever. Among them was the Queen's darkest secret. Within the cold stone walls of castles, where candlelight flickered against towering arches, whispers spread like wildfire. There were nights when people murmured that their queen was not merely a saintly figure, but also a woman of hidden fears, unspoken desires, and forbidden weaknesses. This duality, sacred and sinful, revered and reviled, turned her into a figure of legend, both worshipped and condemned. To understand the Queen's secret, we must first step into the world of the Middle Ages. It was an era where political power was inseparable from religion, where morality was enforced with merciless rigidity, and where the slightest deviation could be judged as mortal sin. A queen, placed upon a pedestal as the embodiment of virtue, carried a burden heavier than her crown. Any secret she held, no matter how personal, threatened not just her own soul but the very survival of her kingdom. Picture a royal banquet. Music echoes beneath vaulted ceilings. Candles blaze like stars. Goblets of wine sparkle in the torchlight. Yet in that dazzling scene, the Queen's eyes betray unease. Courtiers whisper of her sleepless nights, of her lonely walks through echoing corridors, of the invisible chains that bind her heart. For she knows that if her secret were revealed, the crown upon her head would not shield, her hit would tighten around her like an iron shackle. Royal secrets have always fascinated humanity. The more carefully they are buried, the more desperately people long to uncover them. And in this queen's case, her secret was more than a personal failing. It was a mirror held up to her time, revealing the collision of power, desire, and fear that defined the medieval world. But what was it? Was it a forbidden love, a passion that defied both political alliances and the Church's command? Was it a hidden crime masked by a regal smile and golden robes? Or was it a flirtation with heresy, whispered rituals that threatened to damn not just her, but her entire dynasty? Whatever it may have been, it was enough to turn her from a saintly figure into a sinner in the eyes of her people. Enough to transform a symbol of divine order into a scandal of forbidden desire. In this video, we will embark on a journey beyond the silken curtains of the court, listening to the whispers of servants, following the trail of forgotten documents and piecing together a story that was never meant to be told. We will see how this queen's darkest secret did not simply haunt her life, but also shook the foundations of her kingdom. History is never just truth carved in stone. It is often the tale told by the victors, while the secrets are burned, buried, or silenced. Yet secrets do not remain silent forever. They live in ballads, in art, in rumor, and in the collective memory of a people. Sometimes they return to haunt the future as if they were ghosts that refuse to rest. The Queen's darkest secret is not merely a tale of one woman beneath a crown of gold. It is a reminder that no throne, no crown, and no empire can suppress the truth forever. Because in the end, even the most carefully guarded secret will rise again. Like a curse whispered through the corridors of time. The rise of the Queen. To understand the Queen's darkest secret, we must first trace the path that carried her to the throne. A queen is never born in a vacuum. She is molded by lineage, by politics, by destiny written in bloodlines and alliances. Her childhood unfolded within the cold corridors of a stone castle, where every echo reminded her of the weight of duty. From an early age, she was taught that her eyes must gleam like jewels, her smile must conceal doubt, and her words must always be calculated. A princess was not allowed anger, weakness, or longing. Yet behind her youthful gaze, there may already have burned a restless fire, an unspoken desire for something beyond the iron bars of tradition. Her marriage marked the decisive turn of fate. She ascended to queenship not solely because of beauty, but because her union sealed a powerful political bargain between two dynasties. At her lavish wedding, songs praised her as the embodiment of virtue, a radiant symbol of purity. But from that moment on, she became both ruler and prisoner bound, not by chains, but by the suffocating expectations of crown and kingdom. The court viewed her as a flawless emblem. The people revered her as the mother of the nation. But in truth, she lived beneath constant scrutiny. Every gesture could be twisted into suspicion, every word into treason. Within this suffocating world, her secret began to form. Whispers soon crept through the palace, that she often disappeared into hidden chambers, that she spoke with those she should not, that her eyes betrayed a sorrow deeper than any crown could conceal. To the common folk, these rumors humanized, transforming her from untouchable icon into a tragic mortal. But to the court, such whispers were poison. For even the smallest crack in the queen's sanctity threatened the stability of the throne. The darkest secret, the secret we seek, is not idle gossip, but a wound carved deep into history. Faded records, torn letters, and murmurs preserved in folk tales all point to a chilling truth. One theory claims the queen was ensnared by a forbidden love. In a world where marriage was nothing more than a political contract, true passion was rare and perilous. Yet her heart, defiant of law and church, may have belonged to another, a knight sworn to protect her, a trusted advisor, perhaps even an enemy of the crown. Such a bond, if discovered, would not only disgrace her, but imperil the kingdom, for it would expose the monarchy itself to betrayal. Other fragments of evidence suggest something darker. Her involvement in secret rites, rituals whispered of as heresy or witchcraft. In an age drenched in fear of demons and sorcery, even the faintest accusation could lead to the pyre. If the queen herself was touched by such rumors, it would not be her alone who burned, but the entire dynasty's legitimacy. Whether it was passion or heresy, the secret had one thing in common. It threatened the very roots of royal power. That is why it had to be buried at all costs. Those who knew too much vanished mysteriously. Documents that hinted at scandal were reduced to ash. The chronicles of the victors remained silent. But silence cannot kill truth. Lingers in ballads sung by villagers, in cryptic paintings, in half-forgotten tales told in hushed tones by candlelight. They say the queen often stood before her mirror in tears, whispering names erased from the annals of history. Her darkest secret was not merely a burdenette, was a phantom haunting her every step. Consequences and legacy. No secret can remain hidden forever. And when the queen's truth began to seep through the cracks, the consequences were devastating. If it was a forbidden love, then outrage consumed the court. Political rivals seized the chance to denounce the monarchy, wielding scandal as a weapon. Clergymen thundered from their pulpits that the queen had betrayed God and people alike. The image of the mother of the nation collapsed into that of a fallen woman, a sinner unworthy of her throne. If it was heresy, the price was even greater. The church could curse the entire realm. Enemies would brand the kingdom as ungodly. The people's faith in their rulers would corrode like rust. In either case, the queen faced isolation. Once surrounded by devotion, she now found herself alone at banquets, her presence a shadow that repelled rather than inspired. Courtiers lowered their eyes, afraid to be tainted by association. The throne that had once elevated her now seemed like a scaffold, a place where power and punishment became indistinguishable. Yet the secret did not perish with her. It outlived her death, becoming legend. The story was retold through centuries, not just as scandal, but as tragedy. Future generations did not remember her merely as a queen of power, but as a woman ensnared in the eternal struggle between duty and desire, between the crown upon her head and the beating heart within her chest. And that is her true legacy. It is not in laws passed, nor wars fought, but in the haunting reminder that power can conceal, but never erase, the truth. Her story reminds us that history is not only written in triumph and blood, but also in secrets buried and resurrected. Her darkest secret echoes across time, not only as a scandal of a bygone age, but as a mirror. It reflects the same fears, desires, and contradictions that dwell within us all. The Queen's secret may have been buried for centuries, but it was never truly erased. It lingers as a fracture in the fortress of history, a crack that reminds us no crown, no throne, no empire can forever conceal the shadows of truth. This tale is not only about a single woman, it is about the very nature of power itself. Power can forge legends, but it also demands masks. For this queen, power forced her into the role of a flawless emblem before her people, while in the shadows it shackled her to fears, desires, and guilt that no crown could absolve. What made her secret the darkest was not merely its content, whether a forbidden love or a flirtation with heresy, but its cruel exposure of medieval contradiction. In that world, private failings became public weapons. Desire was chained to sin, and even a queen, robed in majesty, could not escape the iron grip of judgment. Look closer, and her story becomes more than history, becomes a reflection. For even in our modern age, we still live beneath invisible crowns, bound by the pressure to appear perfect, to hide what does not conform, to bury what might be judged. The Queen's secret is not just her own, it is ours. Her legacy, therefore, is not found only in dusty chronicles, but in the questions she left behind. Does power ever truly shield us from truth? Can the secrets we bury ever remain silent? Can a person live fully while forced to hide their most human self? Perhaps the most terrifying revelation is not her secret itself, but the reality that every kingdom, every society, every soul carries shadows of its own. And shadows, no matter how deep the darkness, will one day emerge. The Queen's darkest secret is not merely a forgotten scandal. It is a curse whispered across centuries. It reminds us that thrones rise and fall, crowns glitter and fade, but truth endures not in marble, but in memory, in whispers, in the restless ghosts of time. History does not remain silent. It preserves not only victories and glory, but also sins, desires, and secrets. And through them, it speaks, warning us, haunting us, compelling us to face the truths we would rather forget. Because if a throne could not silence the Queen's darkest secret, can we truly silence our own?